Dr. Marisol, thank you for joining us on Misunderstood. Can you share with me the inspiration behind your company and behind how you got into health and wellness?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. I'm so happy to be here. For me, castor oil was really something that's been following me, kind of stalking me my entire life. Honestly, I remember when I was in my early 20s and I had a history of working in pageants. I was second runner-up at Miss Canada. So I was really into beauty. And I was walking into this health food store and I looked on the bottom of the shelf and I suddenly saw a halo around these glass bottles. And I was like, double take. And I looked down, picked up the bottle, and I don't know, my heart just like boom, boom. Took a couple of heartbeats, and I was like, "What is this castor oil?" I didn't even know about its usage, like orally as a laxative, which is an approved actual medication by the FDA. But I was wondering why it was on the health food store shelves. It didn't feel like it fit. And I went to go talk to the lady who owned the store, and she started rhyming off to me all the multiple benefits of working with castor oil. And it was mainly for clean beauty. So it was, it could help improve the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. It could help improve, the thickness or the appearance of the thickness of eyebrows and eyelashes. That, you could use it all over your body. It's an excellent moisturizer. That it was deeply hydrating, richly nourishing, and completely different from any other oil in the marketplace. And so it intrigued me. She then went on to talk to me about something called a castor oil pack. And she lost me because a castor oil pack, for those who don't know, is basically you take castor oil, you apply it onto a cotton cloth, and you put it either on your over your eyes for beauty applications, on your liver for beautifying your belly, or really anywhere else on your body where you need to feel a soothing sensation. And it just sounded a little woo-woo to me. So I was game to try out the beauty, but the castor oil pack, didn't really make sense to me. So I started, playing around with castor oil in my 20s and, applying it as a face moisturizer. It was just too thick because if you work with castor oil, it's so much thicker than any other oil. And that's what makes it so deeply nourishing and richly hydrating. And that's really its key to fame. So I started actually playing around and using it as a eye makeup remover. And then I moved into a face wash with oil because, I'd heard that, many of us who have skin problems, if we actually, it's not that we want to dry out our skin, but actually may want to actually nourish it and oil up the skin. And these are actually ancient practices in Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine. And then I got into, using it to help improve the appearance of my hair. I had gone truly a lifetime or a decade at least where I couldn't grow my hair past a certain length. Like now I choose to have it at this length because it actually looks great on me. But
So cute.
yeah, but before it was, I didn't have the choice to grow it. And so I really, really loved using it cosmetically. And then later on, I decided to become a naturopathic doctor. And when I was in naturopathic college, everybody was talking about castor oil, castor oil, castor oil, castor oil packs, and everyone was using it. And I was looking around my class and everyone who was there, and truly everyone had such glowing skin, kind of similar to the trend of the Korean trend of having like a glass skin or glass appearing like skin. And so I really, really delved in and I was like, what is the magic of this oil? And why is it at the bottom of store shelves? And why isn't it being promoted everywhere for clean beauty? Because then, get this, Rachel, I started looking at all my, expensive beauty serums, expensive night creams, everything from, lip conditioners, everything. And I started noticing that all of them contained castor oil as a base ingredient. And I said, why do I need all of these 30 ingredients on this body moisturizer, and half of them I can't even pronounce them. So obviously they must be chemical because they can't be something that occurs naturally in nature. And so I started exploring all the different ways to use castor oil, and it just became such a part of my life. And I realized that my mission was really to get millions of people, using castor oil as that number one, ingredient in their clean beauty arsenal and in at home, so that way, they can really improve the appearance of whether it's the hair, whether it's eyebrows, eyelashes, or it's your skin, your fine lines and wrinkles, just really helping you look and feel better, your body, everything. So that's how I got into castor oil. And then, once I jumped in, the can of worms just opened and I learned more and more and more.
Um, Spool back for 1 second. You talked about the fact that you got into holistic medicine. You
Yeah.
now are called doctor. Can you just explain the credibility factor, to
Absolutely.
people?
Absolutely. So presently, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm actually inactive, so I'm no longer in clinical practice. I was in clinical practice for over a decade. In Canada and the United States and North America, naturopathic doctors get the same kind of training as a medical doctor. So we do years in school, we do undergrads in sciences, 4 years of medical training. Then we do an internships as well too. And we have the right to prescribe certain medications, like some hormones in the States. We also obviously tend to go first and foremost to natural means beyond before going to chemicals. We look at things in terms of, there's no bad medicine, drug, or really anything. It's just a time and a place and for the right person. So we're a very balanced practitioner, and we tend to focus a lot in clinical practice on things like hormones. Females tend to be our number one patients, and then they tend to drag their husbands or their partners on over. Yeah. Yeah. So we do an intake very similar and maybe sometimes even more detailed than a conventional practitioner because we have more time. So we would have an hour with a patient and really go through all aspects of their lifestyle, whether it's diet, it's food, it's nutrition, it's the stressors around their environment. For me in my clinical practice, a big thing was stressors and stress, whether that comes from beauty products or the foods that we eat, or even just emotional stressors, or even traumas that we may have had in our past aspects of our lives. So it's an accredited profession and just a beautiful profession to be a part of. I'm really more of a fan of using it for clean beauty, and also then too to be using the packs on the abdomen and the belly just to create a soothing sensation and to calm the system, and really just like helping to get your energetics aligned in your body, and then people get open to it. And when we talk about it being used topically instead, they tend to get a better understanding of what castor oil is for in our usages.
Right. Okay. So let's go through some actual tangible ways that people can use this. You mentioned
Okay.
before about your hair, which I think
Yeah.
is actually a great thing. I don't know that people actually have thought about this. So how do you actually do it so it's not a huge mess?
Yeah, so that's the thing. So one of the things that I found with castor oil when I first started exploring castor oil was simply that it was way messy, and I couldn't believe that anyone would even want to do it, right? I was like, this is crazy. Like, why bother when you have this like pre-made thing? So my big goal at Queen of the Thrones was truly to just make it easy to use. And honestly, it was a selfish request because I wanted to use it. So I wanted to make it super, super simple for me. So with castor oil, all that you do is you just take your bottle of castor oil, you drop a little bit in your hands. Like with hair, less is more. The thinner, lighter the hair is, the more important it is to use less oil. So for hair like mine, which is almost like a medium thickness, it's not a thick hair, it's a medium thickness. I basically use somewhere between a dime and a quarter size dollop. And I move it within my fingertips, and then I apply it to my roots. I take a little bit more castor oil, another dime size amount of castor oil. I put it in my ends. And then what we created was actually like a hair wrap. So then that way the castor oil doesn't like leach through. And what the hair wrap does, you simply put it on. I'm not going to do it completely because I don't want to completely mess my hair, but you wrap it up, you stuff all your hair in, and then you wear it for an hour. And what it is for me is it's very, very similar to a practice that I used to have in my 20s before I got into castor oil, was doing hot oil hair treatments. I don't know if you remember those. Do you
Yeah,
remember
of
that?
course.
The rage for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. So when you
Yeah.
do the castor oil and then you wrap it with this hair wrap that keeps all the heat in, this really, really helps the castor oil to, absorb better, to nourish, deeply hydrate the roots of the hair, and then improving the appearance of like the dryness of hair and the thickness of hair. And just even Googling on the internet, you can really rapidly see how many people are firm and strong believers in castor oil for their hair. And I love like running into people and just hearing their stories because it's so fabulous.
Okay. And would you suggest that people do this on dry hair or wet hair?
So I do it on dry hair, and typically the recommendation has always been to just do it once a week, unless you're having like real problems with your hair where it's extremely dry, and then it would be a 2 time a week situation. But in general, with a once a week application of castor oil, it really can do wonders.
And how long will it take to see results?
So again, unique for everybody, depends on where you're coming from. And remember, health is inclusive of things like diet and hydration. So whenever you're doing things like castor oil or natural products in general, hydration I think is key. But some people report, within 2 weeks up to like 3 to 4 weeks that their hair has made a noticeable change. The one thing that I can say with castor oil, it can't really go again into the inflammatory aspect of it. However, where we see the benefit is the soothing sensation when you use castor oil with the castor oil pack.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah, and really is supportive of the body, as a self-care ritual, that helps you, to feel better about yourself, feel good in your body, and just help your system just overall like flow better. In my practice, I worked a lot with energetics, and this might be new for many of the audience in terms of, Ayurvedic practice talks about energetic centers of our body. Traditional Chinese medicine speaks about the traditional Chinese meridians, like basically like the flow that we have within our system. And the one of the ancient users of castor oil, his name was Edgar Casey. He was known as the sleeping prophet, and so he would actually meditate and then recommend protocols to clients. And one of his recommendations was consistently working with castor oil packs over the liver and the abdomen. And one of the reasons that he was doing that, again, for number one, the soothing sensation, because when someone isn't feeling well and they have no hope in their health, that their health isn't going anywhere, the first win that I always wanted with patients was really just for them to just feel a little bit better and just to actually have hope that, they could be soothed. And so that was a great start. And he would recommend that because for him, out of his philosophy and perspective, it would be that when you do something like a castor oil pack and you get that soothing sensation, it's almost like, the sense of serenity and calm is really aligning for your energies, but also connecting you to, the universal energy and the divine or God or whatever it is that you understand it as. So that's and that of course definitely sounds a little bit woo-woo. However, one of the things with castor oil packs I believe is true to say is that until you don't try it, you won't know. But when you do try it, like people typically continue to use them because they feel that good.
So, oh wait, before I bring this up, I will say, are there any contradictions or precautions that people should be aware of when trying castor oil, at least for the first time?
So the biggest thing is simply that, we don't want to be using it during pregnancy unless you've been recommended by a midwife or a doula and it's been prescribed to you, so that then it would be an okay application. So really the only place where castor oil or castor oil packs aren't used or whether there's any kind of issue is really just pregnancy. So there haven't been any interactions with anything else when it's done topically. Of course, orally is always a different situation. If you're taking medicines or medications and you're taking castor oil orally, well, then of course you simply have to be careful of your medicines and your drugs because they could bind them and remove them out of your system quickly, but not when done topically.
Right. So I'm going to ask Steph how she chose your company specifically for her trusted marketplace. But I guess I want to ask you first. Because by the way, I did get this from Holistic Goddess. I have my brand from you, but why should people trust your product over all the other castor oils? I mean, is there something that makes yours different than the others?
Actually, a lot. Number one, castor oil must always, always, always be bottled in glass. So we ensure that throughout our entire supply chain, we're very transparent in it, is that castor oil never sits in glass. Many companies might bring in big vats of plastic, their castor oil, and there's other companies on the market who bottle both plastic and glass. So for me, that is a philosophy that does not fit. And the reason being is that castor oil, not only is deeply nourishing, richly hydrating, but it's also the master carrier oil. So it's meant to carry things, like it holds things in. So if it's bottled in plastic, there's a potential that there might be some transfer of plastic. And that's the last thing that you want to do when you're working with clean beauty. You're trying to avoid plastics, avoid chemicals, avoid all those things. So that's number one. Number two is we're the practitioner preferred brand. So many practitioners recommend ours. We're also number one choice on Amazon. And it really has to do with our quality and our integrity as a company. Because I'm a practitioner, and because I'm a user and a lover of castor oil, my kids use it, my family uses it, all my friends use it, all my people use it. Everyone uses it. Castor oil for everyone. And the thing for me is the testing. So we third-party test, and we're not only looking at like the racinoleic acid content, which is that unique molecule I was telling you about earlier on that has many of the benefits for castor oil. I'm looking at oxidation, rancidity, also iodine content, because when you test castor oil, there's actually a microgram dosage of iodine within it, which is beneficial for health. We of course want a little bit of iodine in our diet. It helps all kinds of systems. So I'm looking for it to be very, very clean. And in fact, this past year, we took 13 brands off of Amazon and tested them and found that so many of them were oxidized, rancid, had very little of the ricinoleic acid. Some of them weren't even castor oil. It was actually very scary. There's no regulations on Amazon. And this is one of the reasons why I truly love working with like a platform like Holistic Goddesses, because I know that they're trusted brands and it's super important. So that's with our oil. And then with our compresses, like we have a little beauty routine where we use castor oil for the eyes, eyebrows, and eyelashes to help, again, the appearance of eyebrows, eyelashes, and the fine lines and wrinkles. And we compresses to go to sleep with so that the oil, absorbs better, stays in place, doesn't make everything messy. And we ensure that it's like organic cotton, it's not bleached. We have an outside protective layer that is the safest type of plastic that could protect, which is actually
you have different packages for different, like mine right here that I bought through Holistic Goddess says liver. So you have one for the hair, for the face. And how often, I didn't open this because I was scared and I wanted to ask you first, are they reusable? Do I put them in the washing machine? Do I throw them out? What do I do with them?
Yeah, so they're meant to be used to be as less mess as possible. And we do have a really amazing, this is actually one of the best sellers on Holistic Goddess, which is a crystal quartz roll-on for castor oil. So really all you do, it's beautiful. I love it. This is so like, it's spectacular. So all you do is simply just like roll on the castor oil, like over your liver, and then place the pack on. And over with the eyes, you do the same thing. You can roll the castor oil roll on. You can actually place it all over your face. It's a form of gua sha. So it's just because of the crystal quartz, and that's a Asian method of helping to like lift the skin and improve how it functions. So like castor oil, it's meant to be clean and less mess. The pack typically has a lifespan of about a month to 2 months, and then it's replacing the pack. And I think that's just for hygienic reasons, no different than, your mascara tube you replace every 2 to 3 months because you don't keep on reapplying it to the body.
Yeah. So I know you said you're the number one trusted seller on Amazon, but people should go to Holistic Goddess and order it because by the way, they could use my code, which is understood. They get 15% off. But exactly. Okay, so just to confirm, people can either buy the roll, which is easy and not messy, and you can do it everywhere. And then, for example, this big bottle, you then buy the things that go with it, depending on where you want to put it. By the way, where is my liver?
Great question. Your liver is under.
Yeah, so that's very important.
It is very important. It's underneath your right rib cage. So it's right here. So underneath your right rib cage is where you would put the pack. And that's typically the classic pack. But, sometimes people use the pack also to beautify the belly. So if there's stretch marks, it helps to improve the appearance of stretch marks over time. So again, lower pelvic region, you can place that on there as well too. So there's lots of, you can really move that pack wherever you would love. So it's really just depending on like what your goals are or what problem areas you have in your gut region or energetically where you feel like things don't move naturally. So you could put the pack everywhere. And then, so it's just a very simple way to do it. And like my favorites are truly like I wear the eye mask and the either liver pack or somewhere on my abdomen every single night has been my routine for years. And it just, it's changed my life. I'm just so calm. I do it as part of my self-care routine before going to bed. My body's so used to it. It takes me less than 2 minutes. And I just feel great in my skin. And I think that's the common conversation is just that it's a game changer for people. And that literally is a testimony on our website. It's just such a game changer. Like no matter what the person is maybe dealing with in life, whether it's stress, whatever that may be, this just really helps to get them into a good self-care routine that can be uber beneficial for so many different things.
And are you putting this on and sleeping in it, or are you just doing it for a little bit before bed?
Yeah. So with the eye mask and the beauty eye mask and the liver pack, that one I wear overnight. And then
you've also been doing it for a long time.
Oh yes. Yeah. I've also been doing it. Yes.
I always say start slow.
Yeah. Some people need to start slower.
Some people are more sensitive than others. Yeah. And I'm an abundance of caution. I don't want anyone to come to me and be like, oh my God, I got myself sick. Because the first time I did it, I got sick.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. It gets when energy is blocked.
Because it's taking the toxins out. Is that why people can get sick?
Well, we're unsure. There's no research on
Okay.
that. It could just be just that it's a shift energetically for people.
Totally.
So
I
many
feel
people,
that.
so many people get stuck like emotionally. They're not moving in their life. I mean, that to me probably makes the most sense when people say game changer, right? Because they're doing this, like for me, when I started doing the castor oil packs on my body, like I was doing everything right, like supplements, diet, exercise, and yet I was so sick and I couldn't get out of bed. And that's really how I got into the packs. And then really what I really didn't change anything in my lifestyle protocol, except I started just simply doing self-care with castor oil packs, and it changed my game. Like I just felt better. And for what reason that is, we don't know. But and that's where the thing is, you might not believe it, but you try it and then people notice the difference.
Yeah. And we talk a lot about too, using castor oil as sort of your entrance into holistic health, right?
Yeah.
We were talking a lot about that yesterday too, and using like the roll on your face and then doing the fine lines and the whole self-care skincare routine. And then moving on further to like the liver pack, or the one you didn't talk about is the neck one.
Yes. Yeah.
And can you talk about the aging and
just when it comes to neck, this is the area, the décolletage is the area where women show the first signs of aging. Yeah. And especially these days, right? Tech neck, we're all like this, all on our computer.
Yeah.
And so, it's really, really important to moisturize, hydrate the neck and have a nice little routine with the neck. So we have neck packs as well too. And it's the same simple process. All you do, you simply just like roll on the castor oil, and then you wear the neck pack, and you only simply wear that for an hour. And that could be done nightly or 3 to 4 times a week, depending on like how you feel you're aging in your neck area.